American firepower didn't just win World War II, it redefined modern warfare forever. From the trenches of the Pacific to the beaches of Normandy, these 10 weapons gave Allied forces the edge they desperately needed. Some became legends, others remained unsung heroes, but each one changed the course of history. Let's count down the American guns that turned the tide of the greatest conflict humanity has ever known. Number 10. Smith & Wesson Victory Model. Picture military factories working around the clock, churning out revolvers by the thousands. The Smith & Wesson Victory Model became one of those wartime workhorses that kept Allied forces armed when it mattered most. Starting production in 1942, these revolvers carried a distinctive V prefix in their serial numbers, marking them as purpose-built instruments of war. The Navy grabbed the first batch of 65,000 units with 4-inch barrels for their aircrew, though quality initially suffered without proper inspection procedures. Things got better when Army Ordnance stepped in during early 1942, tightening standards and catching problems before they reached the field. A tragic accident involving a sailor killed by a dropped revolver led to an improved hammer block design in 1945, showing how combat experience drove continuous refinement. These revolvers chambered various rounds, including the British 38-200 for Lend-Lease shipments, with some later rechambered to 38 Special after returning stateside. The sandblasted, Parkerized finish looked rough compared to commercial models, and that lanyard loop at the bottom plus smooth walnut grips screamed military issue. Weighing about 34 ounces unloaded with a standard 4-inch barrel, these six-shooters achieved around 1,000 feet per second with 38 Special ammunition, giving servicemen reliable backup firepower throughout the war. Number 9. Winchester Model 1912. Trench warfare demanded specialized tools, and the Winchester Model 1912 proved deadly effective in close-quarters combat across Pacific islands. Marines particularly valued this pump-action shotgun during brutal island-hopping campaigns against entrenched Japanese positions. The military purchased over 80,000 units throughout World War II, split between different service branches with varying needs. The trench gun variant featured a perforated heat shield and bayonet mount reduced from 6 rows of holes to 4 beginning in 1942 for simplified production. Army units received riot gun versions without these features for base defense and protecting parked aircraft from saboteurs. Navy personnel used similar riot configurations for ship security and port protection in foreign waters. This internal hammer design with external tube magazine earned its perfect repeater nickname through reliable performance under harsh conditions. The action cycled smoothly, even caked with sand, saltwater, and jungle moisture that plagued other weapons. Chambered primarily in 12-gauge for maximum stopping power, the Model 1912 held 6 rounds in the tubular magazine plus 1 in the chamber. That tilting bolt system proved remarkably durable through thousands of rounds fired in anger. Winchester had been producing this design since August 1912, so by World War II the manufacturing process was refined to perfection. Priced at approximately $40 during wartime, it represented accessible firepower that saved countless American lives in brutal close-range engagements where every shot counted for survival. Number 8. M1 Garand. General George Patton called it the greatest battle implement ever devised, and battlefield performance backed up that bold claim. The M1 Garand revolutionized infantry combat by giving American soldiers semi-automatic firepower while enemies struggled with slower bolt-action rifles. This gas-operated, closed, rotating bolt design chambered the powerful 30-06 Springfield cartridge, delivering 2,800 feet per second muzzle velocity with effective range out to 500 yards. Canadian-American designer John Garand created something special when he developed this rifle, which officially replaced the M1903 Springfield as standard issue in 1936. Combat reports consistently praised its reliability and firepower advantage, with soldiers able to maintain 40 to 50 rounds per minute compared to perhaps 15 from a Carabiner 98 K-armed German. That 8-round on-block clip-feeding system proved both blessing and curse, offering quick reloads but creating a distinctive ping when empty that supposedly alerted nearby enemies. Approximately 5.4 million were manufactured during World War II, equipping every branch of American military service. The rifle stretched 43.5 inches overall with a 24-inch barrel weighing between 9.5 and 11.6 pounds depending on configuration. Its wing-protected front post and adjustable aperture rear sights allowed accurate fire in various lighting conditions. The psychological impact of facing semi-automatic rifles cannot be overstated, forcing Axis powers to accelerate development of their own automatic weapons programs. Number 7. Thompson submachine gun. Tommy guns blasted their way through popular culture long before World War II, but wartime service cemented their legendary status. Brigadier General John T. Thompson originally developed this blowback-operated selective fire weapon in 1918 to break the trench warfare stalemate, though it arrived too late for World War I combat. The weapon gained notoriety during Prohibition as the signature arm of organized crime, earning colorful nicknames like Chicago Typewriter and Trench Broom. Over 1.5 million Thompsons were produced during World War II, primarily in M1928A1 M1 and M1A1 variants. The M1928A1 accepted both box and drum magazines, featured the distinctive Cutz muzzle brake, had barrel cooling fins, and utilized delayed blowback action with top-mounted charging handle. Later M1 and M1A1 versions simplified production by eliminating drum magazine compatibility, removing cooling fins, and switching to straight blowback with side-mounted charging handle. Chambered in hard-hitting .45 ACP, these submachine guns achieved 935 feet per second muzzle velocity with effective range around 164 yards. Rate of fire varied by model from 600 to 900 rounds per minute depending on internal configuration. Allied troops embraced Thompsons for their stopping power and reliability, with British commandos and Special Operations executive operatives particularly fond of them. The M1928A1 weighed 10.8 pounds empty, while the M1A1 trimmed that to an even 10 pounds, both measuring under 34 inches overall. That substantial weight helped control the fierce .45 ACP recoil during full auto bursts, keeping rounds on target better than lighter designs. Number 6. Remington Model 31. Shotgun competition drove innovation, and the Remington Model 31 emerged as a formidable rival to Winchester's offerings in the sporting and military markets. Production ran from 1931 to 1949, superseding earlier Pedersen and Browning-designed Remington pump actions before the Model 870 eventually replaced it in 1950. During World War II, Remington manufactured Model 31 riot guns specifically for military service, stamped with U.S. property markings on the receiver's left side. Serial numbers for these military versions ranged approximately from 51,000 to 63,000, making them identifiable to collectors today. Interestingly, despite producing riot guns in quantity, Remington only built a single prototype trench gun with heat shield and bayonet mount, focusing production on the simpler configuration. Available in 12, 16, and 20 gauge configurations, these pump actions could be ordered with plain, solid rib or ventilated rib barrels depending on intended use. The tubular magazine feeding system worked smoothly through the pump action, cycling shells reliably under field conditions. Military models served in various security and close quarters roles, though they never achieved the fame of Winchester's competing designs. The Model 31 represented solid engineering and reliable performance, qualities that mattered more than flash when lives depended on the weapon. Units equipped with these shotguns appreciated their straightforward operation and maintainability, critical factors when trained armorers were scarce and replacement parts hard to obtain in combat zones far from supply depots. Number 5. M2 machine gun. The M2 chambered the powerful 50 BMG cartridge, delivering devastating firepower against infantry, light vehicles, fortifications, and low-flying aircraft. Design work began near the end of World War I, but the weapon truly proved itself during the Second World War and conflicts beyond. The M2HB variant with its heavy air-cooled barrel weighed 84 pounds compared to 121 pounds for water-cooled versions, representing a significant portability improvement without sacrificing too much sustained fire capability. That 45-inch barrel launched projectiles at approximately 2,910 feet per second, with effective range reaching 1,800 meters and maximum range extending to 7,400 meters. Short recoil operations cycled 450 to 600 rounds per minute, laying down suppressive fire that kept enemy heads down and vehicles burning. The Ma Deuce nickname reflected the affection soldiers felt for this reliable companion, which functioned in deserts, jungles, Arctic conditions, and everything between. Aircraft mountings used the lightweight AN-M2 version weighing just 60 pounds, becoming standard aviation armament across nearly every American aircraft type. Infantry, armor, and support units all relied on the M2's devastating firepower, and its NATO adoption ensured continued production and service. The weapon's longevity speaks volumes about Browning's fundamental design excellence, creating something so inherently sound that modern improvements remain relatively minor. That 24-pound barrel contributed significantly to the overall mass, but provided the thermal capacity for sustained firing that lighter weapons simply could not match. Number 4. M1911 pistol. Colt's single-action, recoil-operated masterpiece defined American military sidearms for generations, chambering the formidable .45 ACP cartridge that John Browning designed specifically for this pistol. The M1911A1 became a prized small arm among U.S. and Allied forces during World War II, with British commandos, Special Operations Executive operatives, and South African Commonwealth troops particularly valuing its stopping power. Royal Navy personnel had carried M1911s chambered in .455 Webley automatic during World War I, with those pistols later transferring to Royal Air Force aircrew for bailout situations over enemy territory. Even desperate German Volkssturm units employed captured M1911s designated P660A during the war's final months. This pistol's combat record speaks to its effectiveness in the most demanding circumstances imaginable. At 39 ounces empty with magazine, the government model stretched 8.5 inches overall with a 5.03-inch barrel, achieving approximately 830 feet per second muzzle velocity. That short recoil operation proved remarkably reliable despite mud, sand, saltwater, and neglect that would disable lesser designs. The effective firing range of 50 meters reflected pistol doctrine focused on close-range stopping power rather than precision marksmanship. Commander and officer variants with 4.25-inch and 3.5-inch barrels respectively offered more compact alternatives for specific roles. The weapon's intuitive controls and robust construction meant soldiers could maintain them with minimal training and basic tools. Number 3. M3 Submachine Gun. Mechanics' tool similarities earned this submachine gun its grease gun nickname, and that utilitarian appearance reflected a design philosophy prioritizing mass production over refinement. The U.S. Army adopted it on December 1942 as a cheaper, lighter alternative to the Thompson while maintaining the same .45 ACP chambering. Guide Lamp Division built approximately 1,000 M3s in 9mm parabellum for OSS operatives and European resistance fighters who could use captured German ammunition, marked simply as US 9mm SMG without model designation. The 9mm conversion allowed underground fighters to remain supplied without risky Allied airdrops, proving particularly valuable for French, Belgian, Dutch, Italian, and Norwegian resistance groups. Rock Island Arsenal and Buffalo Arms Corporation manufactured limited 9mm conversion kits, though only about 500 of the originally requested 25,000 were actually procured. The improved M3A1 variant introduced in December 1944 incorporated field-requested refinements, with 15,469 produced before war's end. Blowback operation from an open bolt kept the design simple with minimal parts count, cycling 450 rounds per minute. At 8.15 pounds empty for the original M3 and 7.95 pounds for the M3A1, these submachine guns proved considerably lighter than Thompson's. The weapon stretched 29.1 inches with stock extended or collapsed to just 21.9 inches for tight spaces. That 8-inch barrel achieved 900 feet per second muzzle velocity with sights calibrated for 100 yards. The 30-round detachable box magazine provided decent capacity, and the weapon's mechanical simplicity meant even minimally trained soldiers could maintain it under field conditions where spare parts and skilled armorers were luxuries. Number 2. M1903 Springfield Rifle. 5 rounds of 30-06 Springfield ammunition loaded via stripper clips gave American sharpshooters and standard infantry a proven bolt-action platform that predated the Great War, but remained relevant through multiple conflicts. Official adoption came on June 19, 1903, with the rifle seeing extensive service during World War I before the M1 Garand's arrival. The reality of America's rushed war entry meant insufficient M1 rifles existed to equip all troops, so the M1903 remained standard issue for many units throughout World War II. Its accuracy and reliability made it the preferred sniper rifle during World War II, Korea, and even Vietnam, long after semi-automatic designs had replaced it in general infantry service. Remington and Smith Corona Typewriter Company ramped up civilian production starting September 1941, using old Rock Island Arsenal tooling stored since 1919. Early Remington rifles were nearly identical to 1919 Rock Island production, but worn tooling necessitated progressive simplifications and modifications. Premium features like high-grade walnut stocks with finger grooves gave way to more economical but serviceable alternatives as production accelerated. At 8.7 pounds with a 43.2-inch overall length and 24-inch barrel, the M1903 achieved 2,800 feet per second muzzle velocity. That bolt-action mechanism allowed user-dependent fire rates of 15 to 30 rounds per minute, though trained shooters could sustain higher speeds briefly. Effective range stretched from 100 to 300 yards for rapid fire, while the flip-up rear sight graduated to 2,700 yards for long-range work. The weapon cost approximately $50 during wartime production, representing a substantial but justified investment in proven battlefield effectiveness. Number 1. M1918 Browning Automatic Rifle. Squad automatic weapons transformed infantry tactics, and the BAR's arrival gave American units mobile firepower that could keep pace with advancing riflemen. Ordnance initially conceived the M1918 late in World War I, but its true combat testing came during the Second World War after adoption of the M1918A 2 variant on. Tactical doctrine evolved dramatically throughout the war, starting with 1 BAR per 12-man squad and progressing toward Marine Corps practices of 3 BARs per 13-man squad organized into 4-man fire teams. Gas-operated with a rising locking bolt, this automatic rifle chambered the same 30-06 Springfield round as the M1 Garand but delivered it in fully automatic bursts. The M1918A2 weighed 19 pounds and stretched 47.8 inches overall with a 24-inch barrel, achieving 2,822 feet per second muzzle velocity. Selectable cyclic rates of 300 to 450 or 500 to 650 rounds per minute, depending on configuration, gave gunners options for sustained versus rapid fire. That 20-round detachable box magazine limited sustained firepower compared to belt-fed machine guns, but the BAR's portability and reliability made it invaluable for mobile infantry operations. The bipod and buttstock rest improved accuracy on rifle ranges, but often got discarded in combat to save weight and improve handling. Despite design limitations including a thin, non-quick change barrel, complex field stripping requirements, and finicky rate reducer mechanism, the BAR proved rugged enough when properly maintained. Marines and soldiers learned to work around its quirks, maximizing the firepower advantage it provided over bolt-action rifles. Production demands sometimes exceeded supply even late in 1945, with some units still carrying older unmodified M1918 variants into combat. These iconic weapons shaped the outcome of World War II and proved American ingenuity under pressure. Which gun surprised you most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more fascinating military history content.